Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is July 28th. Nick Kurtz, are you kidding me? What a game. We have plenty of news to go over. Let's do it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today? Ladies and gentlemen, folks, this is a good one. I feel like a lot happened this weekend. The deadline just around the corner, but I mean, I was going through all this stuff. A lot happened, and there's a lot of news, some coming this morning even. So we've got a big episode here for you guys today. Stay tuned for all of that. And with that all being said, let's just jump right on into our series recap. Leading things off, we have the Rockies and the Oilers. Jordan Westburg, Tyler O'Neill, Kobe Mayo, Alex Jackson, they all go deep for Baltimore, but the Rockies came back. Mickey Moniak goes deep, Theo Estrada goes deep, Ezekiel Tovar goes deep. The Rockies take a 6-5 win in the opener, but Baltimore dropped the hammer. Tyler O'Neill, Cedric Mullins, and Alex Jackson all go deep in the second game. The O's score 9 runs in the seventh, and that was only half of the runs they scored in that game. 18-0, an absolute beating. And in the last game, Warming Bernabel getting his first career MLB home run for the Rockies, the only run they got in this one, as Tyler O'Neill went deep. He homered in all 3 games of this series. Baltimore wins it 5-1, and they take 2 of 3. Dodgers and the Red Sox. Teoscar caps off a win, his 15th homer of the year, as the Dodgers take a 5-2 victory over the Red Sox. He would also homer in Game 2 alongside Shohei Ohtani, but both of them hit solo shots. The Red Sox scored 3 in the second, and that would be enough. They take a 4-2 victory. And in the final game, Alex Bregman hits a go-ahead 2-run home run in the 5th. That got the Red Sox to lead and the series, as Boston was at 4-3. They take 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. Phillies and Yankees now. Kyle Schwarber has a 2-homer game, his 35th and 36th home runs of the season. His 35th was his 1,000th career hit, so congrats to Schwarber. JT Realmuto would join him in the home run department. The Yankees, though, they hit 4 home runs. Stanton, Bellinger, Wells, Volpe, but they're only solo shots. It's a 12-5 win for the Phillies. In Game 2, it's Bryce Harper absolutely annihilating a pitch from Stroman. Edmundo Sosa goes deep as well. 9-4 Phillies. They would look for the sweep, but could not find it despite Castellanos going deep and Otto Kemp with a 2-homer game. It's the new acquisition, Ryan McMahon, in just his second game as a Yankee. He would hit a game-tying 2-run double and then would end up scoring the winning run as the Yankees take a 4-3 victory to avoid the sweep. Blue Jays and Tigers now, 2 of the top teams in the AL, 2 of the top teams in baseball, both in trending directions. The Blue Jays are hot, the Tigers are not, and it showed in this series. Ernie and Loperfido go back-to-back for a 5-run 6th inning. The Blue Jays' Nathan Lucas also going deep. 11-4 Blue Jays as they take the first of 4. The Jays would then rally in the 5th in Game 2 for 4 runs, as that would be the difference in a 6-2 win. The Jays add 4 late in the 9th in Game 3. Nathan Lucas a home run, and then George Springer and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. going back-to-back as 3 ninth-inning homers helped the Jays to a 6-1 win, as they would look for the 4-game sweep, but the Tigers unload a 7-run 8th inning to push this game out of reach. And that was kind of important because the Jays scored 4 runs in the 9th, and if it wasn't for that 7-run 8th, it would have been a 4-3 Blue Jays comeback win. But it is instead a 10-4 Tigers win. They avoid the sweep to salvage the series. The Jays, though, best team in baseball. How about that? Cubs and White Sox, the battle of the 2 Chicago teams. It's Chase Meidroth, it's Colson Montgomery, Austin Slater, Mike Tauchman. 4 White Sox home runs, a 12-5 White Sox win in the opener. Cubs, though, come back in Games 2 and 3. Ian Happ and Matt Shaw both going deep in a 6-1 Cubs win. And then in Game 3, Andrew Benintendi had a 2-homer game, but the Cubs still did enough. 5-4 Chicago there. Or 5-4 Cubs, I guess Chicago could be either or. The Cubs take 2 of 3 against the White Sox. Nationals and Twins. This first game had only one run. It was a Buxton sac fly, so the Twins take a 1-0 win in the opener. Luis Garcia Jr. and Alex Call would both go deep for the Nats, though, in a 9-3 victory, and the road match would fall the Nationals' way. CJ Abrams, Matt Wallner, they exchanged solo shots early, but the Nats added 4 in the 5th to help them take a 7-2 victory, taking 2 from the Twins. Guardians and Royals, this could have been a big series. The first game got rained out, so it was a doubleheader on Saturday, and it started with Jonathan India hitting a 3-run walk-off home run versus Emmanuel Clase in the 10th inning. How about that? Royals take a 5-3 victory. But the Guardians come back later on in this game. Steven Kwan continues his power streak recently, his 9th home run of the season. The Guardians take a 6-4 win. They split the doubleheader day. And on Sunday, it's Michael Garcia getting his 2nd home run of this series. The Royals take 2 of 3 from the Guardians, 4-1 the final in Game 3. A's and Astros in a 4-game set. Luis Urias hitting his 8th home run of the year to help the A's to a 5-2 victory in the opener. Then it's one of those days for Nick Kurtz. 4 home runs in the game. Incredible stuff from him. He's joined by Soderstrom and Langeliers, who also went deep. It was no contest in this one. 15-3, the A's storm into Houston, and they keep it rolling. Langeliers goes deep in Game 3. Lawrence Butler, a 3-run homer in the 9th, 5-1. And then Miguel Andujar, leading things off for the first time in his career, hits a leadoff home run. Shea Langeliers, a 3rd straight game with a home run, his 3rd in the series. 7-1 A's as they go into Houston and sweep the 4-game set. How do you like that? Mariners and Angels coming up next, and the Mariners, with that sweep, they could take a sweep of their own and bring back 4 games in the division. They would do so in Game 1 as Julio, Randy, and Polanco would all go deep in a 4-2 Mariners win. In the second game, it's Julio as well as Julio. It's a 2-homer game for Julio Rodriguez, but this one needed extras, and in it is Zach Neto, the walk-off single in the 10th inning. 3-2 Angels, they even up the series, and I might be running out of breath because in Game 3 it was Julio as well as Randy again, and the big dumper Cal Raleigh hitting his 40th home run of the season. Julio, 4 home runs in the first 3 games of this series. 7-2 Mariners as they would look for a 3rd win in the series. Big dumper Cal Raleigh, once again, his 41st homer of the season, but it's Mike Trout, a 2-run home run, his 1,000th and 1,001 RBI. 4-1 Angels as the Mariners and Angels split the 4-game set 2 apiece. Braves and Rangers now. Jonah Heim would go deep. The Rangers score 4 in the 8th for some big insurance runs as they take an 8-3 victory. Heim would double in the 9th in Game 2. That would tie the game up and send it to extras, where it's Marcus Semien who walked it off with an RBI single. 6-5 Texas in the 10th inning there. And in Game 3, it's Josh Smith. He goes deep. The Rangers score all 8 of their runs in the first 3 innings and would hold the Braves from there. 8-1 Rangers the final as they sweep the Braves, winning 3 straight. They've been pretty hot recently, Texas. How about that? Marlins and Brewers. Kyle Stowers, what more could this kid do? His 23rd homer of the year. The Marlins scored 4 in the 7th as they took the lead. 5-1 Miami the final in the opener there. In Game 2, it was the power of Augustin Ramirez, Heriberto Hernandez, and Dane Myers as those 3 homers helped the Fish. 7-4 Marlins in that one. Brewers needing a win. They would come back in this final game. An RBI double in the 8th from Andrew Vaughn, and then Blake Perkins hits the walk-off single to win it. They avoided the sweep. 3-2 Brewers the final, and they get an important game there. Rays and Reds now. We're in Cincy. It's Tyler Stevenson. It's TJ Friedel. They both go deep. It's a 7-2 Reds win. The Reds scored 2 runs in each of the last 3 innings. 2 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th, 2 in the 8th. as they take a 6-2 victory in Game 2. And then it's Brady Singer who holds the Rays to only one run, a home run in the 8th before he got pulled in this one. A big day for him and a big series for the Reds. They take a 2-1 victory and sweep the Rays. Big 3 games for Cincy. D-backs and Pirates. Now the D-backs after no runs in the first 10 innings. Yeah, that's right, 0-0 after 10. Eugenio Suarez gets a sac fly in the 11th, and that's the only run. 1-0 D-backs in an absolute thriller of a game. In Game 2, O'Neal Cruz hits a 2-run home run, his 17th of the year. And those 2 runs, well, the only 2 runs in the game. 2-0 Pirates. Will we have a third shutout game? We would. O'Neal Cruz, Ke'Bryan Hayes, they each get 2 RBIs in this one. 6-0 Pirates, as Pirates take 2 of 3 at home against the D-backs. Padres and Cardinals now. It's 2 3-run home runs in the second. Brendan Donovan and Wilson Contreras. That would help the Redbirds fly 9-7 past the Padres. In Game 2, Mason Wynn gets a 2-run double to help the Cards. There was a small bench clearing incident in this game as well, but it got much bigger in Game 3 as the benches would clear for the second time. More pushing, more shoving. The Padres would get an answer though, 3-1 in the final in that game. And then in the final game, Xander Bogaerts, he would go yard to cap off a big day for the Padres at the plate. They scored 9 runs and beat the Cardinals 9-2. As the Padres and Cardinals split the 4-game set 2 apiece, bringing us to the final series, the Mets and the Giants. Francisco Lindor, his 20th home run of the season, gets the Mets a big 8-1 victory. In Game 2, Mark Vientos comes up clutch, a big go-ahead 2-run double for the lead and the win as the Mets take a 2-1 victory, close one there. And in Game 3, Matt Chapman delivers a 2-homer game for the Giants, but Ronnie Mauricio, he would get a double and a home run that tied the game up at 3. Then Juan Soto delivers his 25th home run of the season. That gave the Mets the lead that led them to the sweep of the Giants. 5-3 the final. The Mets take all 3 games against Giants. They get a game back on the Phillies, who dropped one to the Yankees. How about that for your series recap? All right, now let's get going to our game of the weekend, and I'm taking you to Houston because when you have a game like this, it needs to be talked about. Top of the first, we got Game 2 here of the 4-game series. Tyler Soderstrom would deliver a 2-run double to get the A's off and rolling, and it was only the first of 2 of 15 total runs in this game. Jacob Wilson, an RBI single as well, as the A's took 3-0 lead into the second, where Nick Kurtz hit his 20th home run of the season, a 2-run shot to put the A's up 5-0. Top third, it's Tyler Soderstrom hitting his 19th home run of the year. Solo shot made it 6-0. Then at the top of the fourth, Nick Kurtz would deliver a 2-run double, his 18th double of the season. Not a 2-run double, an RBI double. Jesus, I'm a little over. Nick Kurtz, an RBI double, top of the fourth, made it 7-0 Athletics. And then Shea Langeliers, he banked his 15th home run of the year. That's a 2-run shot. It's 9-0 A's in the first 4 innings. This game was crazy. Zach Short hitting his 2nd home run of the season. It's a 2-run shot to get the Astros on the board, 9-2. Then in the top of the 6th, Nick Kurtz delivers his 2nd home run of the day. A solo shot made it 21 on the year for Kurtz, and it's a 10-2 Astros lead. In the top of the 8th, Nick Kurtz delivers again his 3rd homer of the game, his 22nd on the season, another solo shot, 11-2. And then in the top of the 9th, Max Schumann with a RBI ground out for 2 outs in the inning. They were 1 out away. It was 12-2 Athletics, but then Nick Kurtz comes back and delivers a 3-run homer, his 4th homer of this game, his 23rd on the season. It made it from 12-2 to 15-2. The Astros tapped in Yanyo Diaz, an RBI double in the bottom of the 9th, but the damage was done. Nick Kurtz, how about that. 15-3, the final there. The A's demolished the Astros and end up with that 4-game series sweep. That's a big one, and that's your game of the weekend. But we're not going to be done talking about this game because it's a legacy game, and this is really one of those games where it's like all of a sudden, hey, meet Nick Kurtz. Like, this is the guy right now. 6 for 6, 6 runs, a double, 4 homers, 8 RBIs. Are you kidding me? This might go down as one of the best offensive games for a player in MLB history. It definitely falls somewhere in the top 5. And I mean, this kid, what he's been able to do this season so far has been nothing short of impressive. And let me tell you, the A's might have had a couple of those really poor losing streaks, and the season kind of got away from them early on. But I'm very excited for the Athletics' future here. Not really about the move to Las Vegas and all that stuff. I think it'll be really good once they get back to a Major League ballpark and they have all that momentum going forward. But I mean, the young talent that this team has across Lawrence Butler, Shea Langoliers, Brent Rooker, is not so young, but that's the veteran leader. You got Mason Miller in the pen. Like, there's some really fun names. Jacob Wilson's been a star and could win the Rookie of the Year. He might have to battle Nick Kurtz, though, because he's been phenomenal in this season. He's a 3.4 WAR, 75 hits, 23 homers, a 309 batting average, 59 RBIs. He's got a slug of a 683. He has a 1.061 OPS. Like, that is, like, impressive. Like, that's not something that we have to that is a very impressive thing for a rookie this late into the season. Obviously, didn't start the season with the team. There's nothing to be like, here we have Nick Kurtz and from day one, and he still has this 1,000 OPS. No, that's not how it's meant here. But still, the fact that he is one of the top OPS players. Like, if you go off of OPS, it doesn't matter, who you are. We're not doing a qualified whatever. He's 8th in OPS behind a couple guys, but all the people that are ahead of them are 1 game, 2 games, 8 games. Aaron Judge, 103 games is a 1.16 OPS. Next up is Nick Kurtz, who 67 games, obviously 40 games less, whatever. But then Ohtani's at 104. He's at a 998. Ohtani's not even at a one dot for an OPS. So what Nick Kurtz has done, really something special here. The game as a whole will go down as one of the best ones. It's the first rookie ever to have a 4-homer game. It's the first Athletic to have a 4-homer game, which with their history is very impressive. And it's the 20th time in MLB history to have a 4-homer game. And one of his doubles was off the wall by 3 to 6 inches maybe. So he was almost the first player with 5 homers in an MLB game. And we did the math. We checked the homers out. If this was a game against the Mets, the Cubs, or the Red Sox, if we were at Citi Field, Wrigley Field, or Fenway Park, it would have been the first ever 5-homer game in MLB history. That would have been crazy for Nick Kurtz. Very special thing. And I mean, I remember watching one of the games, I think game 1 of the series. I was watching the Astros broadcast. They talked about how Nick Kurtz has been all over the Astros. And I remember earlier in this year, back in June, there was a 4-game set that the Astros and A's played, and it was in Sacramento. And he had 2 walk-off home runs against the Astros in that series. I tuned in to his stats. In 7 games that he's had, 7 career games that the Athletics have played against the Astros that Nick Kurtz has been involved in, he has 31 at-bats, 17 hits, 5 doubles, 7 home runs, 15 RBIs. He has a .548 batting average in 7 career games against the Astros. That's absolutely insane. Credit where credit is due to Nick Kurtz. Absolutely fire. 2 hits, 2 for 4, 6 for 6, 3 for 5 in this series. He didn't play on Sunday, but then was 1 for 4, 3 for 4, 1 for 4, 1 for 4 in that earlier series. But like I said, 2 walk-off home runs. Nick Kurtz, incredible. season. Incredible against the Astros in an incredible offensive game. Not much more I can say about it. It was absolutely insane. So let's get on here, get on here, whatever you want to do. We had a couple trades that went down this weekend. Starting off, the Royals traded for Randall Grichuk from the Diamondbacks. They sent over prospect Andrew Hoffman. Grichuk is a nice player to have, a good veteran presence. You know, he's been on some impressive teams in the past. He was with the Cardinals when he first started his career. Ended up taking over the Blue Jays for a little bit before kind of bouncing around between teams like Colorado, the Angels, and Arizona. Now with the Royals already, he played, I believe, yesterday in his first game. He was 1 for 4, so a decent, first game, I guess. Grichuk, he's going to be a nice kind of presence there. He'll crush left-handed pitching, which there is some of that in the Central still, so the Royals can still use that, get away with that. I would say he's more of a fourth outfielder. Hasn't really been all that for the Diamondbacks this year specifically. 43 hits in 179 at-bats, 7 homers, 22 RBIs, and a 729 OPS for a negative .4 WAR. As I mentioned, can be good, can be versatile, and a big add. But it's one of more of those like little sweeteners for the Royals. I think it is going to help them out in the long run here. They did take 2 of 3 from the Guardians, and with the Diamondbacks, or not the Diamondbacks, the Tigers slumping as they do, or as they are currently. Big opportunity here for those teams to kind of claw back in the Central. The Royals, 2 games back of 500, but could still make a late push like they did last year to get a wild card seed. So don't count out Kansas City here as they make that move. The Yankees continue to add now. They go out. I talked about the Nationals having 2 shortstops there. Now they have 1. Emmanuel Rosario is heading New York's way. They had to give up 2 prospects, Clayton Beeter and Brown Martinez. Emmanuel Rosario, a simple season for him. Nothing crazy. He's obviously, a big part of certain trades. He was the main guy, or one of the main guys, in the deal that the Mets sent over to the Cleveland Guardians in exchange for Francisco Lindor. From there, he's bounced around with the Dodgers, the Rays, and now found a spot with the Nationals. He's with the Reds last year as well. This season, 40 hits in 148 at-bats, 270 batting average, 5 homers, a 736 OPS, .1 WAR this year. He's got 10.1 in his career. But again, he's solid, kind of a backup for Volpe. The difference there is that, guess what? He plays defense. He's got a great glove, very solid shortstop in terms of the defense there. So, the Yankees could do something where they have Volpe out there. If he gets his at-bat in the 8th inning, you bring in Emmanuel Rosario from that point on. He could play defense. And if he needs to get an at-bat, you give him an at-bat or 2. He's not a liability at the dish, but obviously I think Volpe, the way he's been hitting recently, a couple more, home runs recently for Volpe. So the Yankees continuing to add here. They start with McMahon, who I think is going to be a big add. I think he's going to have a really strong second half here. Rosario, we'll see what he does as the Yankees try to fight back in against the Blue Jays and against the wild cards, and everything else has been going down because the Yankees, since like mid-June, they've been the second worst team besides the Nationals. So definitely not what you want to do there going forward here as we enter the dog days and as we enter August. Next up, the other trade that happened, the Braves went out. They picked up Eric Fedde from the Cardinals. I mentioned in the last episode how he got DFA'd after a really rough start against the Rockies, where he gave up 6 runs in 3 innings. He will be heading now to Atlanta. And in my mind, every time I'm like, Atlanta can still kind of battle. They can still fight. They keep losing and just getting swept, and they just got swept by the Rangers. They've lost 5 straight. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They're 17 back of the division and 12 back of the wild card. So at the rate we're at now, the Braves are going to be pronounced dead real soon, probably. But they pick up Fedde. Maybe they're thinking long term. Maybe they think they see something in him that they like, that they can work with, and try to extend him over the offseason. I don't know what his contract is anymore because the DFA is always weird. Let me pull that up really quickly here just to make sure I'm spitting out facts. I know he signed, I think it was a 2 or 3 year deal with the White Sox originally. So then when he got traded to the Cardinals, this should have been his last deal here. He is a free agent after this season, so Braves going to pick him up and see what they can do with him. So Eric Fedde heading over to Atlanta, a team that really is struggling and probably has no postseason ambitions this year. Hopefully they can get healthy and turn it around next season. Moving on here, let's talk Padres and Cardinals really quickly. They had a couple of kerfuffles in the series. The first one happening on Friday after Wilson Contreras was hit in the hand by Nick Pivetta. Now, this isn't something that is new. Wilson Contreras, I don't know why. It's something I did want to look into, probably will this week. He always gets hit in the hand. I don't know. Obviously, you want to pitch into Contreras. He's one of those guys where he likes to get his bat out there, so if you pitch in, you'll jam him a lot, weak contact, that's how you'll get him out. I don't know if he stands too close to the plate, but Wilson Contreras, I feel like, gets hit more than any player in the big leagues. Whether it's the Cardinals or, whether it's Padres, when he was with the Cubs, it was against the Cardinals. People always find a way to hit this guy, and I want to find out why, because it's very interesting. The reason it really clocked with me is because then he got hit in the hand again in that third game on Saturday. He lost his mind. He was screaming just things. It wasn't intentional. The pitcher, I think it was Randy Vasquez, hand over heart. My bad. I'm not trying to clip you there. But he just keeps getting clipped on the hands, and he just let out a mighty roar, just God, those ones, right? So Wilson Contreras was not a fan of that. But later on, Machado was hit in that game, and then when he was hit for a second time in that game, that's when the bench was cleared again. There was more pushing and shoving in the smaller one on Friday. Machado obviously not happy. Contreras not happy. Pitchers just trying to get outs, and it's a whole thing. But all it is a little bit of pushing, some shoving, some little brotherly love, saying, "Hey, how's it going?" And game got on. They split the 4-game set, so that was that. That's the bench clearings there. Nothing too interesting in that yet. So we'll see. If anything else comes from that. I don't think there's any suspensions or fines given out, and if there was, I don't know about it. Moving on here, we also had the Hall of Fame inducted this weekend. The 5 players that were inducted into the MLB Hall of Fame: CC Sabathia, Billy Wagner, Dick Allen, Ichiro Suzuki, Dave Parker, all of which joined the legacy of the Hall of Fame. Dick Allen, the MVP, a Rookie of the Year, 7-time All-Star, had 58.8 career WAR, 1,848 hits, 351 homers, a career 912 OPS, a 534 slugging, over 1,000 runs, over 1,000 RBIs, an overall solid player, most notably for the Philadelphia Phillies. CC Sabathia, now Hall of Famer, Cy Young winner, 6-time All-Star, 2009 World Series winner with the Yankees, an ALCS MVP, a career 62.3 WAR, 251 wins, 161 losses, a 3.74 ERA in 561 games. He started 560 of those. So one game he came out as a reliever, pitched 3,577 innings with 3,093 strikeouts, one of 4 left-handed pitchers to have 3,000 strikeouts, and of course notably playing for the Yankees, but also had some time with the Indians and the Brewers as well. I'm going to miss CC Sabathia. He's one of those guys who I did like a lot. Seeing him pitch was very exciting. Billy Wagner, Hall of Famer, now 7-time All-Star and the relief pitcher of the year, once 47 wins, 2.31 ERA, a career 27.7 WAR. In 853 games out of the pen, he picked up 422 saves, 903 innings with 1,196 strikeouts. So big day for Wagner there. Congrats to him. He was absolutely elite in the little bit I got to see of him before retiring in 2010. Dave Parker joined the Hall of Fame. He was an MVP, 7-time All-Star, Home Run Derby champion, 2-time World Series winner, 3-time Gold Glove, 3-time Silver Slugger, the All-Star MVP, as well as a 2-time batting title, most notably with the Pirates, but some other teams as well, including the Reds, Blue Jays, and the Angels. 40.1 career WAR, 2,712 hits, 339 homers, 1,272 runs, 1,493 RBIs, a career slug of 471, and a career OPS of 810, an absolute legend at the dish there. And the guy that I know the most, and the guy that I've seen the most over the years, one Mr. Ichiro Suzuki, who has some great quotes from the weekend. The now Hall of Famer has an MVP, Rookie of the Year, a 10-time Gold Glove winner, 10-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger, 2-time batting title, as well as an All-Star MVP. Of course, most notably with the Mariners, did spend some time with the Yankees as well as the Marlins, who, when they first called to offer him a contract, he didn't even know they were a team, was the comment he said, still holding some animosity for the one guy that did not vote for him from the Baseball Writers of America. Debuted at 27 in 2001, where he won the MVP and Rookie of the Year that year. And from there, went on a crazy streak. All of his All-Stars came in the 200s, I guess, the 21 to 2010 season, 10 straight years of All-Stars. And then from 2012, that was the year he got traded to the Yankees, spent 3 years there, then some, 3 years with Miami before coming back for a stint with Seattle, a really small stint, 17 games there. But all of his big success and in crazy numbers came with Seattle here. If you go from 2011 to 2001, in that span, 55.4 WAR when he finished with 60 WAR. So, the first half of his career, 55 WAR. Second half career, 5 WAR. So, that's the difference with Ichiro that you get there. 3,089 hits, 60 career WAR, 117 home runs, a career batting average of 311, 1,420 runs, 780 RBIs. He had 509 stolen bases, pretty good there, and a career OPS of 757. Played until he was 45 years old. Good for Ichiro. And a big hearty congratulations to all 5 of the players that were inducted into the MLB Hall of Fame over this past week here. Let's talk about something a little bit more, I guess, interesting, to say the least. Emmanuel Clase has been placed on the non-disciplinary leave, joining Luis L. Ortiz as a part of MLB's ongoing investigation into the sports betting. Now, this was very interesting. This happened actually this morning is when it came out. Obviously Guardians have been out with Luis L. Ortiz for a while. His was supposed to go until the All-Star break, but then they had kept it going on as they continued the investigation. I believe that got up to August 31st that the Guardians will be without Luis L. Ortiz. Now it has been said that Clase has joined them, which is interesting. When it first came out with Luis L. Ortiz, there was a clear, 2 pitches that are well, this is a little weird. And it had it whereas, people place a decent amount of money on it. And then it so happens to be the pitches that are nowhere near the strike zone. 2 random pitches to start an inning. It's a little weird. But now we have Emmanuel Clase, and there's nothing that has supported, I haven't seen anything. Of course, this was just this morning here. It's a little interesting to see, a guy like Clase, who was the best reliever last year. He was Cy Young voting, kind of a pitcher. Gave up the one home run, and in the postseason, that kind of, has cemented that as like that's how he'll be remembered. Really struggled in the postseason. This year got off to a really horrid start. Picked himself up a little bit, but hasn't really been the same. Gave up the 3-run walk-off home run to Jonathan India, of all people. Not to say that India can't hit home runs, but he doesn't have exactly that power stroke swing, so it hasn't been the kind of year that Clase has wanted. He now heads to that, which would really suck. Clase has been a really, strong dog, a really big, part of that Guardians bullpen, and just really part of MLB recently, and some of those relief pitchers that and the top closers of the game. I like Emmanuel Clase a lot, so it would really suck if it comes out and it turns out that he's involved in this and, gets banned from MLB, which would, just kind of throw him on the list of recent guys to kind of screw up a career. We saw it. Guys like Julio Urias from the Dodgers and Franco with the Rays, and you're obviously going to get these every now and then, but it would just suck because I feel like his cutter is so elite, and there's just so much that he can offer to the game here and for the Guardians. And as I mentioned earlier, the Royals and Guardians, they're about 8 games back of the Tigers, but the Tigers are 2-12 in their last 14. Like, they've really struggled, so it's a real opportunity for them to kind of get back into a fight here for a division even. And, you obviously down a starter, which sucks, but now you're down your best relief pitcher, your best closer. Even if he hasn't been as good this year as last year, he's still, an ace, kind of an elite guy in the pen there. And unfortunately, won't be with the team right now. I think his is now going until the end of August as well. So that's a whole month that you're without your starter, now your closer. It's coming out here that he has 22 pitches this season with an 0-0 count with the bases empty outside of the game day strike zone. Of those, 11 of them has been apparently classified as uncompetitive. So there are some pitches where, to start an inning 0-0, just the first pitch he's throwing, nowhere close. So not sure if that's, something to consider, as why it could be the case here. And, as elite of an arm as he is, is it really supposed to be that far outside of the zone where you think like, oh yeah, like this is where it goes downhill, or like what happens with, the first pitch? Like, it's, starting 1-0 is a big difference, in an MLB at bat. And if he's starting off, some of those on the 1-0 count, maybe that's why he's been kind of as bad as he's been. It's something that's like, yeah, it makes sense as to why it could be being investigated. Obviously sucks for Cleveland here, but again, hopefully it amounts to nothing. But for now, we can only kind of sit around for this month, wait and see what MLB turns up in this investigation here, and go from there. So Emmanuel Clase, not fun there. The Blue Jays, they took care of business in Detroit. 3 of 4. Detroit trailing backwards. Blue Jays trailing forwards here. As mentioned, the Tigers have lost 12 of their last 14, while the Jays have won 19 of 24. They took over the AL East by beating the Yankees up and handling their stuff there. They've then, passed Detroit. They've passed Houston. They were the best team in the AL. And with this incredible series against Detroit and some other teams, Dodgers dropping 2 of 3, Brewers dropping 2 of 3, the Blue Jays are now the best team in all of baseball. It's been now a couple days with them sitting at the top. They have 63 wins and 43 losses. They're the only team with 63 wins, and they're feeling very good about it. They have a 5.5 game lead over the Yankees, and in the AL specifically as well, they have about 2.5 game lead over Detroit now, who, again, when you take 3 or 4 from them, it was a big series. It was the series of the weekend, essentially, my series highlight from my last episode. And the Blue Jays have done a really good job of that. And, it's going to show, like, they haven't done it with, like, hitting home runs or anything like that. They're first in average. They're first in on base. They're first in strikeouts in terms of not getting strikeouts. Like, it's been a very impressive season. They put the ball in play, make the team, play defense. And, the Yankees had plenty of errors when they played them. Tigers had a couple of errors this past weekend. So, I mean, that's what the Blue Jays are doing. When you look at the team as a whole, Vladdy and Ernie Clement are the only two guys that have played every single game so far, 104 games. But even just the other guys too, like Davis Schneider, Lucas, Will Wagner, Miles Straw's been huge. Tyler Heineman, when Kirk isn't playing, he's been fantastic for them as well. On the team as a whole, between everyone that's handing that bat for the Blue Jays, you've got about 10 or 11 guys with an OPS above 700, and that's a winning formula. When guys are getting on base, putting the ball in play, they don't have a single guy who has over 20 home runs. Springer leads that with 18, but they also don't have a single guy with more than 100 strikeouts. Barger has 75, Springer's at 75, so those are your swing and miss guys. They have 3 players with over 100 hits. That's Bo, Vlad, and Springer, of course. That's their big trio, that big 3. Ernie's at 99, Kirk's at 95, so they're close. Barge had an impressive breakout. He's got an 827 OPS. It really is up and down the lineup. This Blue Jays team, 1 through 9, can beat you. If Bo, Vlad, and Springer are 0-4 at the top of the lineup, it's the guys like Lucas and Miles Straw and Tyler Heineman at the bottom of the lineup who's going to go 3 for 5 and hit home run randomly. That's kind of the key thing there going forward. The Blue Jays have, plenty of guys with plenty of home runs. Nathan Lucas has 7, Kirk has 7, some lesser known guys who have been contributing. Loper Fito's been called up and he's been hitting, decently since getting the call now. In 15 games, 14 for 41, 2 homers, 912 OPS. So really the Blue Jays are doing things right now. They're the hottest team in July, and hopefully they can keep this up here, because the Blue Jays, they're at a really nice pace right now. So if the Jays can keep this up, who knows how far they'll be able to go here. Moving on here, last thing to mention, a couple milestone things. We talked about, Schwarber's 1,000th hit, Trout's 1,000th RBI. Bobby Witt, he became the first player in MLB history to have 15 home runs and 25 stolen bases in each of their first 4 seasons. You don't think that's that impressive until you hear it's the first player in MLB history. No other player has been able to do that. So big step there for Bobby Witt. He's obviously on pace to be one of the great shortstops of our game, and in MLB history even, definitely for the Royals. So really exciting stuff there for him. Congrats to Bobby Witt. And the other thing here, Kyle Raleigh, of course, he had 2 homers, part of his 4-game set against the Angels. Homer number 40 and 41, first to 40 this year, and now at 41, he is tied in MLB history for the most home runs by a switch-hitting catcher. And the Mariners, of course, still have, 58 games to go, 57 games to go in the season. So one more Cal Raleigh home run will break that record. He'll become the most home runs by a switch-hitting catcher in a single season. That record will belong to Raleigh. He's on pace for 62 home runs, which was tried Judge's record from a couple seasons ago. So hopefully Cal Raleigh can get hot, have a stretch where he hits 5 homers in 3 games, and can kind of break that record. That'd be really cool for Cal Raleigh, who now is the favorite to win AL MVP. So good stuff there from Raleigh here. Let's continue on with our normal stuff, our hot and cold from the week here. Nick Kurtz, of course. Why would he not be the hot player? 13 for 22, 4 doubles, 4 homers, 10 RBIs, 7 runs, a 1.943 OPS. Michael Harris II from the Braves, 11 for 19, 2 doubles, 2 triples, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 5 runs, a 1.811 OPS. Manny Machado, 13 for 25, 4 doubles, a homer, 6 RBIs, a run scored, a 1.356 OPS. Kyle Schwarber, 8 for 23, a double, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, 5 runs, a 1.313 OPS. And lastly, Michael Garcia from the Royals, 6 for 17, 2 triples, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 4 runs, a 1.391 OPS. For our cold players, J.P. Crawford, 1 for 26 with 5 Ks. James Wood, 1 for 20 with 13 Ks. Eugenio Suarez, 1 for 18 with 10 strikeouts. Carlos Santana, 2 for 20 with 7 strikeouts. And Joe Adell, 2 for 22 with 10 strikeouts. Those are your cold players from the week here. Moving on, we have our injury updates from the weekend here. Alejandro Kirk from the Jays on the 7-day IL with a concussion. Chris Bubich on the 15-day IL with a strained shoulder. Jack Caglione on the 10-day IL with a strained hamstring, so not fun there for the Royals, who lose 2. Aaron Judge, that's the big one here. Yankees are cold, one of the worst teams since mid-June. He's on the 10-day IL, a strained elbow flexor, so the Yankees are going to have to make do without their big slugger for a bit. Marcelo Mayer from the Red Sox, 10-day IL, a sprained wrist. Jorge Soler from the Angels, 10-day IL, lower back inflammation. And then Grant Holmes on the 60-day IL with elbow inflammation. His 2025 season is in question. I'm not sure if he'll be able to return for any more games this season. So the Braves might be done with that, but they have Eric Fedde now. Outstanding performances from the weekend. Eric Laura against the Tigers. He was brilliant. 8 innings, 5 hits, an earned run, no walks, and 6 Ks. How about Luis Severino? 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, and 8 Ks against the Astros. Zebby Matthews with the Twins. 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and 7 Ks. Tarek Skubal, first day back as being a parent. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, and 7 Ks. He played Kevin Gausman, who was even better. 6 innings, only 1 hit, no runs, a walk, and 10 strikeouts for Gausman. He's been brilliant the last couple of starts. Trevor Rogers from Baltimore, 7 innings, a hit, no earned runs, a walk, and 5 Ks. Paul Skeens, 6 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, a walk, and 9 strikeouts for him. And how about Brady Singer? Maybe his best start of the year. 7 1/3, 3 hits, an earned run, a walk, and 8 K. Singer was brilliant for the Reds. Those were your outstanding performances. And that brings us now to our standings check to see who's hot right now as we pretty much end July. The next episode, we're going to be in August here. In the AL East, the Blue Jays are the best team in baseball, 63-43, 20 games above 500. They've got a 5.5 game lead over the Yankees, a 6.5 game lead over the Red Sox, and a 10 game lead over the Rays, who are at 500 at 53-53. Yankees 57-48, and the Red Sox 57-50. So the Red Sox have played 2 more games and lost those both. That's the difference there. The Jays 8-2 in their last 10. They're on fire. The Tigers, though, have not been on fire. They're 2-8 in their last 10, 2-10, I believe, in their last 12, or 2-12 in the last 14, something like that. 61-46, still second in the AL, though. They built up a nice cushion between them and the other teams. So despite this streak, in the last, since the All-Star break maybe, or just before that, they had like a 14 game lead. That's down to 8 now. The Guardians are 52-53, 1 game below 500 still. There's not a single other team in the Central over 500. The Royals 52-54. Those are the 2 teams that are kind of pushing here. Twins an extra 2 games out there, 50-55, so some more work there. But yeah, it's still the Tigers to hold on to. It would be awful if they threw it away. So hopefully they can right that, get the offense going here. But as long as they're slumping, it's got a shot for Cleveland, Kansas City, and maybe even Minnesota to come in and strike. But one of those teams needs to get hot. In the AL West, the Astros got swept by the A's 60-46. Their game back difference has changed a little bit now. They're 4 games back, 4 games lead over the Mariners, who are at 56-50, and the Texas Rangers, who are at 56-50, 4 games back. They're 9-1 in their last 10 on a 6-game winning streak. Keep an eye on these Texas Rangers. This might be the streak they've been looking for all season long. Jonah Heim healthy and back now. So they could really be cooking here. Seattle now has to play the Athletics, who just swept the Astros. So the A's, who are hot right now, 4-game winning streak, they might have a problem for the Mariners there. But that's what your AL West is looking like right now. 2 teams tied for second, chasing the Astros in first, very similar to last year. The NL East is always going to be the same thing here. The Phillies are in second. They're 60-45. They're at a game and a half back of the Mets, who are 62-44. And by the way, are on a 7-game winning streak. How about that from the Mets? Pablo Sanchez showed up to Citi Field, and since then they have not lost. It's almost like Grimace 2.0 this time around. The Mets now with the lead back over the Phillies, a game and a half out, and those are the only 2 teams that matter in the NL East. For the NL Central, the Cubs and the Brewers, 62-43. They are tied for first. In the Central, they're tied for first in the NL as a whole. They're the 2 number 1 teams in the NL above the rest. The Brewers just a slight bit hotter, 7-3 in their last 10. The Cubs 6-4 in their last 10. And spoiler alert, they play this week, so very fun there. The Reds, they're on a 4-game winning streak. They're 6 games above 500. How about that? They're 56-50. They're 6.5 back of the division here. Is it too early to close them out? Is it too late to close them out? I don't know. The Reds kind of a little swinging right now. And then in the NL West, the Dodgers still holding it down, 61-45. They've got a 4-game lead over the Padres, who are at 57-49. Giants 2 games above 500 at 54-52. They're 7 games back, so some more work to do from the Giants after they just got swept by the Mets here. So your division leaders right now, the Blue Jays, Tigers, Astros, Mets, Cubs / Brewers, and Dodgers. If the wild card right now, or for the wild card, the Yankees hold the first spot, 57-48. They're a game and a half up. The Red Sox hold the second one, and they're half a game up. And then Texas and Seattle right now are tied for that third wild card spot. So keep an eye on that. You got 4 teams right now in the mix there. Tampa Bay, 3 games out. The Guardians, 3.5 out. Royals, 4 games out. Some work to do there for those teams, but it seems like it's a dogfight right now between the 2 top teams, the 2 usual top teams in the AL East, being the Yankees and Red Sox. That rivalry there. Mariners, Texas, those are going to be starting to get fun down the line here. In the NL side of things, the Cubs / Brewers would be one of the other 2 teams that hold down the wild card spot there. So whoever would be first in the division, the other team will be fourth in the first wild card seed. 5.5 up on the line. The Phillies hold the second wild card seed. They're 3.5 up, and currently the Padres still holding on to that 6th seed. But the Reds, with that 4-game winning streak, they're hot, 7-3 in the last 10. They're a game out of the wild card. Watch out for Cincy here. The Giants are 3 games back. Cardinals 3.5 back. So the Reds, could the Reds make the postseason this year? Can they get hot? Stay hot? Come on, Cincy. Let's see what you got. So that is our standings check here. Episode running a little bit long here, but that's okay because it's the end of the month. So it's a little bit longer. It was a big episode to go into today anyway, so we're here for it. The upcoming series for this week, the Rays are in New York to take on the Yankees. Blue Jays at Oilers. We got a bird battle there. Red Sox at Twins. Rockies at Guardians. Big chance there for Cleveland to get some games against the bottom feeder team. D-backs at Tigers. Braves at Royals. The Braves have been bad. Royals take advantage. Phillies at White Sox. That's a big one for Philly even because, Mets are hot. So time to beat up on the White Sox. Rangers at Angels and Mariners at A's. Those are your AL West matchups there. The Nationals taking on the Astros. Marlins at Cardinals. The Cubs and the Brewers. That's the big one. Dodgers at Reds could be fun. The Reds have a little bit of a challenge here. See if they can stay hot. Pirates at Giants. Good chance for the Giants to kind of bounce back a little bit. And the Mets, the hottest team in baseball right now, 7-game winning streak. They take on the Padres, who have been kind of middling out recently. They gotta figure something out and get going here. For our series highlight of the week here. Of course, we're talking Brewers, we're talking Cubs. I just mentioned it in the standings check. They are tied for first in the NL Central, first in the NL as well. They're both 62 and 43, and this is a huge series, and we've got some amazing pitching matchups. Game 1 today, the Cubs are sending out Matthew Boyd, who is 11 and 3 with a 2.2 ERA. Matthew Boyd's been that good. I had no idea he's been that good. I know he's had some great starts, but that's been very impressive for Matthew Boyd. He's going up the kid, Jacob Mizorowski, 4-1 at 2.45 ERA. So we are in for a treat for game 1 here. Game 2, Colin Ray, who is 8-4 with a 4.06 ERA. He's going up against Quinn Preister, who's 9-2 with a 3.28 ERA. So good stuff there from him. He's had a phenomenal bounce back here. And then game 3, we've got the aces on the bump. Shota Emenaga from the Cubs, 7-4, a 3.12 ERA, taking on Freddie Peralta, 12-4, a 2.81 ERA. This is going to be a very good series. Despite how good Matthew Boyd's been, I think Jacob Mizorowski will show up against him and get the Brewers the lead for a game here. I think Quinn Price has been very solid as well. I think the Brewers could take the first 2 games of this series, but when it comes down to Shota versus Freddie, I think Emenaga is going to have a game. He's going to go 7 innings, maybe 3 hits, and strike out 9. So that's my predictions for this. I think the Brewers take the series. They're at home. It helps for that, but definitely will be glued for all 3 games of this series. That is your series highlight, and that is your episode here today, ladies and gentlemen. Bit of a longer one, but again, so much to talk about. The trades that have gone down, the Nick Kurtz legacy game, the Hall of Fame, the Emmanuel Clase stuff, and all of this stuff going forward here as we wrap up the month of July. Next episode will be in August. We'll be talking about the trade deadline, all the big moves that will be happening between now and the 31st, which is the Thursday, of course. So we'll be talking about all of that come Friday, as well as anything else that happened. We'll see which of these teams between the Cubs and Brewers will have the lead between the other one. And a sweep would be crazy. So if you can take the first 2 games of this series, you can cap off a big 3-game swing. So that is something to definitely watch out for. And then, of course, next week would be the second episode in August, which means we'll be going over our July players of the month. So stay tuned for all of that good stuff and more, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, buddy, so much, and I will see you on Friday.